Hey, so now we are boiling down to another one guy. Remember how we had Noah, the Lord, uh, focused on just one guy? Now he's going to focus on one guy again. And his name is Abraham. Or his name was Abram. Later, he became Abraham. So let's start with Abram. The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your country, your people, your father's household, and go to a land that I will show you." So he didn't even say, get in the car and go to California. He just said, leave everybody and I'm going to show you where to go. So it's like, basically, go out the door and go that way. And that was the extent of the direction that the Lord gave him. And as he did that, in the second verse, he says that the Lord made him a promise. He said, "I'm going to make you a great nation. I'm going to bless you. Your name is going to be great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you." All right? So pretty cool, right? So basically this means that he's going to be a great nation, so he's going to have kids. So his family is going to get so big that it's actually going to become like an entire nation. So Abraham left as the Lord had told him, and he took Lot with him, and he was 75 years old, and he left. He went through, he started traveling through the land, and kept traveling and came through the land of the Canaanites, and the Lord appeared to him and said, "To your offspring, so your kids, I'm going to give this land." All right? So that we know now that that's the promised land. The children of Israel, when they got out of Egypt, they went and they took the promised land. But Abraham, this is many years before, he's walking through and seeing it, and it's like an amazing land. Y'all remember the spies that went and looked at the land, and there were huge grapes, and it was a fruitful land, and it was full of food. So he's traveling through it. It's like the Israelites' great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa is traveling through. Maybe not even that many greats. Quite a couple of greats. He's traveling through, and the Lord gives him the promise, "I'm going to make you a great nation, and I'm going to give you this land." So what Abraham did is he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. So we do this in our own lives. I really like the aspect of building an altar. What they would do is they would, y'all remember when they crossed the river, they put a bunch of rocks, they had everybody get a bunch of big rocks, and they put them in a big pile so that when people would go by, they'd say, "What's that big pile of rocks about?" And then they would be able to remember what the Lord had done. Well, another thing they would do is they would build an altar, which was how do I explain it? It's kind of like about the size of a picnic table, maybe a little taller, like a table, really big, made out of rocks, and they'd try to make it really nice and pretty. And they'd sacrifice something on it, kind of like in Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, or Aslan was on the altar, right? So they'd build that so that they could remember the good things God had done. Abraham built that so he could remember the promises that God had made him. And every time he'd pass by that, he'd remember the time that God showed up and gave him that promise. All right, so Abraham in Egypt. Now, there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. So apparently they had famines pretty often, right? So he does this kind of weird thing. Abraham had one problem. He was kind of scared because he had a really gorgeous wife, Sarah, and he was always afraid that people would kill him and take his wife, Sarah. So he'd always say, "You just tell everybody you're my sister." She actually was his sister, half sister. So it's like They had the same dad, but not the same mom. Or the same mom, but not the same dad. One of those. So she was half his sister and half not. So he says, please tell everybody you're my sister, then they won't kill me. So they went to this, into Egypt, and the king, sure enough, the king saw Sarah, and she was a very beautiful woman. And Pharaoh, which was the king of Egypt, Pharaoh's officials saw her, and they praised her and said, oh, Pharaoh, man, you got to check out this dame. She's so smoking hot. That's not what it says, but basically. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into the palace. All right, so he's taking her, and he's going to make her his wife, because kings could have like hundreds of wives, right? So he's gonna make her his wife. And he treated Abraham really good because he thought Abraham was just the brother. And he gave Abraham a bunch of cows and sheep and male and female servants and donkeys and camels. And then God didn't want that to happen. So he inflicted a serious disease on Pharaoh and all of his household, because Sarah was in that house and because Pharaoh was going to make her his wife. So Pharaoh summoned Abraham and said, what have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? So he said, take your wife. Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. Pharaoh ordered that Abraham and his men must leave. So that's Abraham. Abraham was awesome. Had an awesome start, lots of promises. Then he kind of told a lie. So basically, I love that it's the Bible doesn't have anybody in it that's like totally perfect, except for one character in the whole Bible. One real life person. But I love that the Bible tells us the way it really was. So Abraham really trusted God. He was a great man of faith. He went without even asking exactly where he was going to go. God gave him great promises, but he still was a man. So, alright, I guess that's it for tonight. Love you guys.